We'll begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Pacific Shintaido's Kangeiko 2022. Once again, for the second year via Zoom. And we know a little bit more about Zoom. And I think last year at this time, we didn't expect that we'd be continuing to practice via Zoom for so long, but as Ula mentioned while we were meeting earlier, we go with the flow in Shintaido. We will have 2 keiko today and 1 tomorrow. And I'm welcoming you. I'm Dirk Richardson, by the way, for those of you who don't know me. And I'm welcoming you on behalf of the Pacific Shintaido board, which includes Cheryl Williams and our Director of Instruction and guest instructor, Shin Aoki. Thanks in advance to Sarah Baker for taking care of the Zoom and the video. And the video, you received a notice that this is being recorded, but it's just the instructors that will be included in the video will be blurred out. Thanks to Brad and to Teresa for taking care of mailing out the notices, and to Cheryl for following up and providing everybody with the Zoom links and the reminders. We decided on a theme of cultivating compassion for this Kangeiko. It's a big one and sort of hard to pin down, but as I'm sure most people know, in Buddhist Dharma, compassion is one of the 4 Brahma Viharas, one of the 4 immeasurables, along with loving kindness, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Compassion, per se, is our willingness to listen deeply, to bear witness, to be with suffering. It's been called the quivering of the heart in response to pain or suffering. One of the reasons to focus on it, I think, is because the phenomenon of compassion fatigue is setting in for a lot of people. It's commonly associated with psychologists and caregivers, but it's a real phenomenon among ordinary folks too. I mean, we are faced with just astounding, staggering numbers of COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations and deaths, 320 million infections around the world. 5.5 million people have died around the world. We're faced with international migration and homelessness, more than 280 million people on the move in 2020. As many as 800 million people go to bed hungry every night. We're faced with climate change, extreme weather events, disappearing species. So no wonder compassion fatigue is real. For some people, it manifests as a numbness to the suffering of others, just an inability to care any longer. So we want to dedicate ourselves and our practice this weekend to cultivating compassion. The Buddhist author and teacher, Stephen Batchelor, has talked about compassion arising naturally out of emptiness. That is, if we experience emptiness as being empty of any separate self, then we will naturally be compassionate and never put ourselves above others, because the true self is inclusive of all others. The experience of emptiness opens the way to an empathetic connection with others beyond the narrow orbit of just family, friends, and lovers. He wrote that in his book, Living with the Devil. So maybe cultivating compassion has to do with realizing emptiness, letting go of self-centered reactivity, bearing witness to the suffering of others with loving kindness and a sense of equanimity. In Mahayana Buddhist teachings, the sword of compassion is used to cut through the illusion of separation, of self and other, of this and that. And Shintaido to me is a wonderful vehicle for reaching that state of being empty of any separate self, and therefore a way through the body to cultivate compassion. I'm really excited to see during our keiko how our instructors approach this. And I'll just finish with a lyric from one of my favorite folk songs from the 1960s, written by Richard Farina. It was recorded by Mimi and Richard Farina, as well as Peter, Paul, and Mary, and many others. It's called Pack Up Your Sorrows, and the chorus is, if somehow you could pack up your sorrows and give them all to me, you would lose them. I know how to use them. Give them all to me. And with that, I turn it over to Cheryl.
Hey, Dirk, that was great. Let's see, we are honored to have two guest instructors with us for Kangeiko this year. One from across the pond, Ula Chambers, general instructor, and one from across the bay, Shin Aoki, senior instructor. Ula holds the rank of Yandan in Kenjutsu and Shodan in Bojutsu. Shin holds the rank of Yandan in Kenjutsu, Bojutsu, and Karate. Together, they bring over 64 years of experience. Both Ula and Shin use Shintaido principles in their work. Ula, a specialist physiotherapist, and Shin, a chiropractor. What a gift to have them with us leading this weekend. Let's begin our practice together. Shin?
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Dirk. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. It is so nice to see you all. And as Dirk said, this is our second virtual Kangeiko in California, as our gatherings are restricted. In a difficult time like this, it is particularly important that we keep respect and understanding for one another and practice simple act of kindness. To me, Shintaido is a rich source of learning tools that help us cultivate compassion. We develop sensitivity to others, and we remind ourselves to always keep our hearts open and communicate with sincere irimi, or stepping into our partner's heart. We hope that you will have a more open and bigger heart by the end of the workshop, and keep building a better world around you and inside you. And let's begin with Mokso. So please stand in Seiritsu. And relax your arms and shoulders. Close your eyes. Mokso. Mokso Yame. Let's begin. Pacific Shintaido Kangeiko 2022. Late.